Hello everyone, welcome to the new video. In this video, we will compare the prices and specifications of different M.2 2280 SSD models. We calculate the specifications as the sum of the capacity, sequential, and random read and write speeds. If the price specification ratio of the M.2 SSD is good, it will be marked with shades of green. If the price specification ratio is not the best, it will be marked with shades of yellow. If the price specification ratio is bad, it will be marked with shades of red. The most popular M.2 SSDs from the PC Part Picker site were taken into account, and their prices were used at the time of making this video. We will look at the most popular 2TB SSDs according to the PC Part Picker site. The first SSD we look at is the Silicon Power UD90, which has solid sequential read and write speeds and costs only $89. Unfortunately, there are no official data on random read and write speeds, so these speeds were not included in the final score. But despite this, the price-performance ratio of this M.2 SSD is good, and it deserves a recommendation for purchase. The second SSD we are looking at is the Patriot P400 Lite, which has the same price as the previous model. However, it has worse sequential and random read and write speeds, and therefore a worse price-to-read and write speed ratio. For this reason, we cannot recommend purchasing this SSD. The next SSD on our list is the Klevv CRAS C910. It has good sequential and random read and write speeds and a low price of only $92, so we can recommend its purchase. TEAMGROUP MP41 is an M.2 SSD that has slightly slower read and write speeds than the Klevv CRAS C910 and costs more than it. Its price at the time of making this video was $99. The overall price-performance ratio is good, although it is a slightly worse option compared to the Klevv CRAS C910. The MSI SPATIUM M482 offers the highest read and write speeds of any SSD we've reviewed so far. It's priced at an affordable $109, and given its very good read and write performance, it has an excellent price-performance ratio and deserves our full recommendation for purchase. The next SSD on our list is the Western Digital Blue SN580. This SSD has significantly worse sequential and random read and write speeds compared to the MSI SPATIUM M482. Therefore, its price-performance ratio is poor and does not deserve a recommendation for purchase. The Crucial P3 is a PCIe 3.0 SSD that is characterized by poor read and write speeds. Therefore, it also has a poor price-performance ratio and should be avoided in purchase because for a similar amount of money, you can buy the MSI SPATIUM M482, which is an incomparably fast SSD. The Crucial P3 Plus and the Western Digital Black N790 are two SSDs with average sequential and random read and write speeds, and therefore have average price-performance ratings. Kingston NV3 is an SSD with good sequential read and write speeds. Unfortunately, there is no official data on random read and write speeds, so these speeds were not taken into account when calculating the price-performance ratio, otherwise its rating would be better. Kingston NV2 is an SSD with slow read and write speeds, so its read and write ratio is also bad. Therefore, we cannot recommend buying this SSD. Samsung 990 EVO has average read and write speeds. At a price of $129, it is simply too expensive for the performance it offers, so we cannot recommend it. Acer Predator GM7000 is an SSD with good sequential read and write speeds and slightly worse random read and write speeds. There are SSDs that offer higher read and write speeds at a similar price. One such SSD is the Samsung 990 EVO Plus, which is quite fast in random read and write compared to the Acer Predator GM7000. The Samsung 990 EVO Plus has a good price-performance ratio overall, so we can recommend its purchase. The SK Hynix Platinum P41 is the SSD with the highest random read and write speeds to date. It has a good price-performance ratio, so we can recommend its purchase. The Kingston Fury Renegade, Lexar NM790, and Western Digital WD Black SN850X have the same price and similar read and write speeds, so they are equally good choices for purchase. The Crucial T500 is an SSD with good sequential and random read and write speeds and has a good price-performance ratio, so we can recommend it. The Kingston KC3000 is a slightly worse choice than the previous Crucial T500 because it has worse read and write speeds and costs more, so we cannot recommend purchasing this SSD. The Samsung 990 Pro is a fast SSD, but at $169, it is much more expensive than the competition, so it does not have a very good price-performance ratio. There are better options than it. The Samsung 970 EVO Plus is a very slow SSD at $174. It has a poor price-performance ratio, so we can't recommend it. The Samsung 990 Pro with Heatsink and Samsung 980 Pro have good performance, but their current prices are too high, so we can't recommend them. The Crucial T700 is an extremely fast PCIe 5.0 SSD that offers an excellent price-performance ratio that is significantly better than the previously reviewed Samsung SSDs. We fully recommend this SSD if you are looking for a PCIe 5.0 SSD. The Corsair MP700 PRO is even faster than the Crucial T700, so if the $20 price difference between these two SSDs is not a problem for you, we can recommend its purchase. The Crucial T705 is the fastest SSD on our list, primarily intended for enthusiasts. At $304, it doesn't offer a good price-performance ratio. Based on this table, we can see which SSDs offer the best price-performance ratio. In first place is the MSI SPATIUM M482. Second place is taken by the Klevv CRAS C910. Third place is shared by three SSDs, Silicon Power UD90, Acer Predator GM7000, and Crucial T700. Feel free to leave a comment on this video. See you in the next video. Have a nice day.